This is System.Debug.
I feel like you should have done it live.
Oh, absolutely.
Live. There we go. I had a little bit of feedback going. See? There we go. All right.
Feedback.
Feedback is good. That's our first. Does that count as our first feedback?
I think so.
That was good feedback.
All right. So go ahead, Brian. Take it away, man.
All right. So we are System.Debug. We are a developer-friendly Salesforce video podcast. We're presenting to you live on YouTube from 2 different locations. We have Ryan Headley, who is in Wisconsin right now, out of Madison. RJ Hill, and myself, Brian James, from Atlanta, Georgia. We're here in my office.
Very good. We should probably mention this is our first, so we're expect maybe a few bumps on the road, but let's do this, shall we? Somebody has the agenda, right? Please tell me somebody has the agenda.
We got the agenda.
Yeah, I got
All right, just making sure. Brian, focus, man.
I've got the notes all the way over here, and so I'm like halfway. All right. So once again, System.Debug. We're here to help the developers of the Salesforce community learn and get better, and overall just have a good time putting on a show for you guys.
Cool. All right, see, and now I'm seeing you guys as frozen, so this is our first technical glitch. Who's gone? Is it me? I bet you it's me.
All right, so first hiccup.
Sweet.
We got disconnected.
Sweet. All right. I was just sitting here all by myself. I don't think anybody was watching anyway, to be honest.
No, nobody's watching. So we're okay. Back onto the agenda, though.
So RJ was going to tell us a little bit about his Salesforce experience and programming.
None. Zero.
Zero Salesforce experience?
Pretty much. I started here at Map Anything almost 2 years ago now, and since day one, just been kind of hacking away at some Salesforce stuff. Lots of different little things that build up into bigger things, and getting kind of familiar with everything that's going on. And so that kind of led me into the whole Salesforce thing. So I've really only got about 2 years experience in total.
Well, that's only a year behind me, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, except for you've probably done a lot more than I have.
That's just, if I do, it's entirely just because of being in the consulting world. So I'll take that as a segue. Is it my turn, Brian?
It is your turn. What are your roots, Ryan?
What are my roots? Do you want to know about my roots, or you just want to know my Salesforce stuff? Yeah, I'm Ryan Headley. I am a spring 2015 Salesforce MVP. Been on the platform since May of 2013. Before that, I was a Pythonista and a Java person and a PHP person, etc. And I just got jaded. And at the time, a former colleague of mine was starting his own company, and it was strictly Salesforce stuff. And he asked if I'd be willing to learn it. So I came on over and I learned. And so in that time, it's been 3 years. I think I've learned quite a bit, and I've got a little bit of the when you know Salesforce, everything looks like a nail. With your Salesforce hammer kind of thing. So I've been doing strictly that for 3 years. Occasionally, I get to dip my toe back into Python and stuff when I'm working with the APIs and things. So there's that, and I'm also a founding member of Apex and the Limits,
which is one of my favorite groups.
One of mine too, if I should say so. It's actually, if I do share my screen a little bit later, you might see my background is actually the Christmas Apex No Limits wallpaper. So
Outstanding. And like I said, you guys had such a fantastic show at Dreamforce this year. I was wowed at how many people actually got up and just started to dance to your guys' music. That was fantastic.
I was surprised, sitting back there and watching everybody come down and doing the swaying and things like that. And I was just, I was really blown away by that. So that was a lot of fun.
Quick question, shout out to Brian Kwong if he ever watches, but how many cameras did he have on stage with him at Dreamforce?
I honestly don't know. I know he had his video camera and probably his phone. I don't know what else he had. He was behind me, so I only get to see occasionally little bits and pieces of it from the video that a client of mine was actually taking via his phone out in the audience. So I have no idea. He had everything going on. He had his cape and the pointy wizard hat. And
the opera mask. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was such a great show.
So am I allowed to ask who Brian Kwong is?
Brian Kwong is another podcaster who is with, and I know it's Mark, but it's so funny, Mark Ross.
Mark Ross, Salesforce Yoda.
Yep, Salesforce Yoda. And Brian Kwong, the Salesforce Wizard, they have Wizardcast, and that's a podcast.
Oh, so they're together.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's a fun one, too. So if you're into finding new podcasts to listen to, that's another really, really great one.
Especially, apparently, if you're into Salesforce.
It helps.
Podcast.
It helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Dear 0 people who are watching this.
So
Yes.
a little bit about me. I started on the Salesforce platform back in 2012 as a consultant. I moved down to Atlanta a year ago today to start working for Map Anything. So as of Wednesday of this week, I will be employed by Map Anything officially for 1 year, which will be exciting for me. There probably won't be cake or presents, but it's my work birthday, so that's cool.
You'll probably make a cake.
I might make a cake. I might make a cake and bring it in.
What
But
did you make that one cake for?
which one?
For a new office?
Yeah, the Map Anything cake. Yeah. Needless to say, we work for Map Anything.
That is true.
And it's been a really great time working on the Salesforce platform, primarily as a developer, but I'm also very heavy into the admin side of things. But day to day, it's pretty much all development. Trailhead is usually my best excuse for getting into the admin side of things, but it helps. Love Trailhead.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible admin, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, absolute garbage. Bottom of the barrel admin.
that guy? That guy.
I'm that guy.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we call people like Brian, I call them developers with admin tendencies, right? But yeah, I do a little bit of both just because that's the role I fit, They bring me in, I'm either slinging code or I'm doing admin. So,
But the problem with being a developer or admin is that you have this underlying conflict of a developer wants everything accessible so I can actually do my job.
Yeah, exactly.
An admin wants to lock absolutely everything down so you can't. So I sometimes have inner conflicts dealing with that.
Well, that's what I was saying. You got to be both at some point,
True.
right?
yeah, for me, it was always a jump going from thinking in code to thinking in click. So I always wanted to solve in code right away. Any problem, code, because that's what I did, code. But things like the process builder and flow and all that, that just makes it so much easier now that, if I don't have to write a trigger, I'm darn well not going to write a trigger. So.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you can do like an invocable method with the process builder, and that really ties in the two halves and avoid triggers altogether. So we got a couple of events and world tours coming up. Not many. Tahoe Dreamin', for those of you who enjoy the Dreamin' scene. That'll be January 20th through the 21st, and that will be in South Lake Tahoe, not to be confused with South Lake City.
Or that's not the place that you're thinking of. It's probably a place. You're talking about Salt Lake City.
That's right. And you fly into Reno, not Rio. These are things that I was confused about that Ryan
You
and
fly
RJ
into
have
Rio if you
clarified
want to go
for
to a
me.
different country
Yeah.
or a place called Rio. You fly into Reno if you want to go to Reno. If you're going to Tahoe Dreamin', you're flying into Reno.
Exactly.
Fair enough. So Tahoe Dreamin',
How did you think it
we'll
was
have
Rio?
We'll have 1 day of pure Salesforce events, and then on the following day, it's a Friday and Saturday. The following day on the Saturday should have a bunch of fun out in the snow, some skiing, snowshoeing. I believe, Ryan, you may be presenting, may not be presenting, we don't know.
I am. I just actually haven't registered yet. There was a bit of a a situation where I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it, but it looks like I am going to now. So I just have to go register, book a flight, and then get out there.
I'm still in the same boat, planning to go. It is on my to-do, just need to actually get a plane ticket.
I want to go back to the snowshoeing real fast. Is that a thing that you are excited to do?
I love snowshoeing.
Snowshoeing.
Yeah.
Snowshoeing, where you just walk on snow.
No, you have these,
With
we're gonna-
snowshoes.
on
Snow with snowshoes.
yes, you go for a hike.
The simple answer is yes, I'm walking on snow.
Yeah, like it's not.
I'm not less likely to break an arm or my neck or my fingers.
No,
These are important to me.
I know.
I need these.
I know.
Another big event coming up in the Dreamin' Scene will be March 30th through 31st, and that's going to be Southeast Dreamin'. That's here in Atlanta. That should be a really, really good time as well. It was last year. It should be our second. It's going to be our second year doing this.
Yeah.
And
I actually had fun there too.
Yeah.
So not just for Salesforce people, for anyone. We did a code consult last year, which 2 people came to, which was
well, I think it was
packed.
I think it was a bit
With 2 people.
yeah, I think it was a bit confusing because people assumed we were a consulting firm and we wanted to write code for you versus no, we're just trying to help. We meant for you to write the code and we would walk you through it. So that was a little bit of a confusion, but RJ and I and one of our other coworkers was able to help man that booth for the 2 people that showed up over the course of 2 days.
Which wasn't too. I mean, they had some pretty good questions. They had some decent questions. They stumped the BJ over here. He was that one girl, at least, stumped you. The other guy was just like in and out. He was like, ah.
She didn't stump me.
I
wanted her to figure it out herself.
It seemed like you were stumped.
No, it's important for you to learn on your own.
If people
I
were
saw
looking,
the answer. I knew what it was the second she
looking
sat down.
outside in, people were like, that guy's stumped right now. That guy is not handling this.
It's all a show. Everybody,
Oh, was
folks,
that it?
I
That
knew
was
the
a show?
answer. It was.
You knew the answer.
I'll explain
But
it.
you were putting on a show for the girl.
Always. No. I wasn't.
I know you weren't.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of cool, neat little things there, like the virtual reality, whatever the hell that was.
Oh, yes.
Just go through your org in virtual reality.
I believe it was put on by Code Science, and they actually had created an app that worked via Oculus Rift so that you would actually put it on and you would see all your opportunities and your accounts and everything based on where you looked. And then by using an Xbox controller, you could actually access the account or the opportunity, read the chatter, post to the chatter. And even though it was very awkward because it was VR and obviously not the most efficient way to do your job day to day, it would definitely be a great time.
It could be developed into a good data visualization tool.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely.
But it was just neat to see that people are doing kind of like wacky things with Salesforce and with their data in there. So, all right, I could see like this going somewhere. I don't know where the hell it would go, but somewhere.
Well, and to that point, what's really, really neat now is Trailhead has actually, one of their newer projects that they released right before Dreamforce was to create your own VR application using Unity's 3D rendering engine. And so you could actually connect your own Salesforce org to a Unity app and put it onto your phone in order to pretty much do the same thing with VR. And that was a really neat Trailhead that they had posted. I thought that was one of the most fun projects that they've had.
Surprising that they put that up there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even know they did that one. That'd be neat. I'm gonna have to actually go check that out. Although, I do really struggle with the application of VR in this sense. You know what I mean? That's just because maybe I'm an old guy. But in my day, we had a mouse and we would click it.
I didn't even have a mouse.
We used to use zeros for O. So yeah, I find it. I don't know. I have a hard time finding an application for it in that, but it's really cool to see. Like, it's not just a one-trick pony. It's not just a CRM. Things you can do on other platforms, you can do it here as well. Which that I think is really what it was more to illustrate. But
absolutely, they did the same thing about 2 years ago. If you remember, it was pretty big. There was a YouTube video. Somebody had actually used the API, the SOAP API, or maybe it was the REST API. But either way, they used it to connect to Minecraft.
Minecraft, yeah.
That's right. And when you created an account, it created a building, and then each
man.
opportunity was a different floor of the building, and then the different pick lists and fields were signs that you could flip and everything and change, and it would automatically update the data directly into your Salesforce database.
I get the
It was neat.
concept.
It was super cool. Would I want to work like that? Yes. Yes, I would. I wanna work like that.
Of course I would, sure.
And efficient. I want to get that stuff. That's my under the rug kind of stuff. I want to get rid of that and get on with my day.
Okay.
You know, what else we got?
Well, so we kind of got our topic of today, which is going to be IDEs.
Covered all the events.
Well, Midwest Dreaming will be in July, but I don't know if they announced that date or anything yet, did they? For Midwest?
No. And if we're missing any other Dreaming events, please feel free to let us know so that we can make sure to mention those as well. And if there's any other events in the Salesforce world going on, let us know that as well so we can make sure that everyone is
Local
informed.
meetups, anything that we are not aware of yet.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there'll be some world tours, I'm sure. I hope Chicago gets one. And then, does anybody know if there's going to be Trailhead DX this year?
I have it on good faith that there will be a Trailhead DX this year, but nobody has officially confirmed it yet. But as soon as we have any word about that, that is definitely going to be a big announcement, especially for me. Loved Trailhead DX. In fact, if anybody from Trailhead DX is watching, I wear this backpack every single day. It's empty. In fact, there is nothing in it, but I carry it with me anyway.
He wears all of his Salesforce stuff every single day. So it's really it doesn't shock me. There are probably people that are not watching this that would be shocked if they were watching this. Like, this guy wears way too much Salesforce.
I've got the Salesforce shirt on right now, one of the developer ones, and then I've got a couple of pins on my hat over here. So yeah, I try to sport it every day too.
I'm wearing the shirt my daughter made for me, which I love. It's one of my favorite shirts.
That's awesome.
I meant to talk into this tonight. That's what my plan was. I was going to use this microphone.
Why?
I don't even want to know what that is.
This is
that's your karaoke thing, the lip sync battle.
Lip sync battle. It's my first place trophy.
That's right.
Everywhere with him.
do.
We go to lunch, he carries it with him to lunch so he can tell people about it.
Does he reserve a seat for it too?
Not yet, he hasn't, I don't think.
What's that?
Well, we didn't have any extra seats at the previous dinner that we had when he had that with him, so.
I put it on my homeowner's insurance.
Tough luck for
If my house burns down, they have to give me a new one.
It's not even at your house.
Yeah, it's in the office right now. You're kind of SOL there.
Oh man, I really didn't. This one.
And there he sees the folly.
Oh, and what about just as far as events go? I don't know if you want to announce it or anything, but your little involvement with the Atlanta Salesforce meetup.
Oh, the developer group?
Yeah.
Yep. If you're based in Atlanta, make sure to sign up for the developer user group. On meetups.com. We tend to meet once a month. We like to flip-flop between a lunch and learn afternoon session and an evening session, split between two different locations. Our sponsors for our afternoon luncheons typically are Map Anything, and then our evening sessions, Pluralsight or Capgemini. So we'd love to have you out there. It's usually a lot of fun. We had a hackathon last August, which was a really, really good time. We'd love for some more developers to show up and compete.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it was a really, really good time. They had a really great award. They had
last time it was really neat because I guess all the other hackathons I've gone to were like very specific, like, hey, we have XYZ and they need, this thing to, I'll build them an API, do this, do that, But this was kind of a free-for-all, like, hey, build the best thing that you can imagine for Salesforce within, what was it, like
3 hours?
3 hours, yeah. Like build whatever you can wrap your head around and something that you think would have some like business value.
And it had to be Lightning. You had to do it in Lightning. It had to be a Lightning app.
That was the one constraint. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it was very cool. It was very open. Like, go at it. Like, do what you got to do. Make something in Lightning that is has business value, and then kind of throw it at us. We'll judge you, and then go from there. So it was pretty cool. And I would definitely say anyone who is out there kind of lost in the sauce, trying to figure stuff out, always go to hackathons. If you're trying to figure out where you belong in the developer community, across the board, not just Salesforce, just anywhere across the board, go to hackathons.
Yeah, that's a fantastic recommendation.
That sounds pretty cool.
Oh, it is absolutely cool. And for any of you watching that have interest in learning more about Lightning, you may be one of those developers who is Lightning handicapped because you just haven't converted yet from Classic to the new Lightning experience. Let us know. We'd love to do a demo of Lightning, maybe how you can set it up. If you're having specific issues somewhere, let us know, and we can actually try to cover some of those topics. That'd be really great for us and for other viewers as well.
Hey, that does kind of bring a question that I have for you guys. Seeing as how you're like a third-party vendor, so to speak, or whatever, are you seeing any wide adoption? I know we're really pushing it and trying to get people out there, and I know at least for us up here in the Midwest, the uptake has been slower than I would like.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely been a lot slower than I think most people anticipated, possibly even Salesforce. At the same time, though, it was released, just prior to Dreamforce 2015. So it's had about a year run now. I think most people have had some hands-on experience with Lightning experience. Everybody has dabbled in it here or there by this point. So I would say adoption is close to 80% for those people who have used it. Now, and that's just a number I'm randomly throwing out there, so I don't, don't quote me on anything, but I would say that most people have definitely used Lightning and have familiarized themselves with it. I think Salesforce has done some fantastic things in order to involve people in embracing it, even when they're not already. Such as the last couple of weeks, they had the what was that? The Lightning Challenge.
Oh,
yeah.
Salesforce.com. Yep, and that was absolutely wonderful. I think it gave a lot of people chances to delve into Lightning in a way that they hadn't previously. Especially with the new calendar app, Calendar Anything or whatever it is that Salesforce integrated with their system, Spring or
Calendar Anything. Is that what it's called?
It's something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's interesting. Calendar Anything. Why didn't we think of that?
That's cool. Good question. Why didn't we think of
Calendar Anything?
Yeah. So tonight's topic.
Yes.
We're going to be going over our IDEs. Lots of choices, which is
too many choices.
Too many choices a lot of times. There's a lot of ways to get the same thing done. A lot of different IDEs connect to Salesforce that allow you to program, whether it's directly in Salesforce using Salesforce's native developer console to browser-based IDEs such as Aside and Cloud9. And then you also have your client-side applications, Eclipse, Sublime, a couple of others. We're going to cover some of the more popular ones, some of the ones that, and obviously ones that we have personally used.
I don't know what you need to do with Eclipse. I'm assuming there's a connector for it, kind of like Maven's Mate with Sublime.
Well, as far as Eclipse goes, and Eclipse is a good one to use. It's probably not the absolute best IDE. Not only did I see that, Ryan, but I think everyone else did.
I've always been a friends don't let friends let friends.
But yeah, so even though Eclipse is by no means the most popular of all the IDEs, it does allow quite a bit of configuration where some of the other IDEs don't, such as metadata manipulation. In Eclipse, you can use things like you can pull down that metadata API and build out your fields or your objects via an XML.
Which sounds awful.
Right,
sounds painful.
It does. But if you've got,
Terribly
if you have a spreadsheet and you're trying to get all of these spreadsheets columns into
and you're just
a
going to do
database.
like a big copy paste. You're going to build out the thing. You're going to
Exactly.
chunk it up and
Exactly. And
do
Google's
some formulas. and columns.
spreadsheet documents as well as Excel both have the ability to
Like
convert.
Google's just called Sheets.
Right. Okay, Google Sheets. But they both have the ability to convert a spreadsheet
Yeah.
into a XML document,
Yeah.
which you can then just paste into your object file for your Salesforce instance and save it, and it'll automatically push all those fields or the object or whatever have you directly into your, or
Still sounds disgusting.
it is. It's absolutely painstaking. However, it's doable. It's one of the few IDEs that's available.
Yeah.
Eclipse also has a lot of hangups. One, it does require a SFDC plugin that you have to download and install.
That's what I was wondering.
You have to have Java installed on your system.
Of course.
With a JDK as well as the JRE. So it takes a little bit more setup. It's very slow to load. It can be...
It's pretty funky. I mean, I don't know how much memory developers have on their machines. I tend to stay at a baseline of 16 gig. So at that point, it's really not a problem. But anything lower than that, I can see where you might be kind of bumping up on the ceiling there.
Mm-hmm. And I used Eclipse up until I had discovered Sublime and Maven's Mate. And though I'm by no means an expert in that, I believe, Ryan, you use it quite regularly, right?
I love Maven's Mate. And forgive me because I'm getting a huge echo all of a sudden. So I'm just going to talk and try to ignore that, though. But yeah, I use Maven's Mate exclusively with Sublime. And really for me, it goes back to why I hated the Java world so much almost, and that was the fact that everybody relied on the Force, or not Force.com IDE, but the Eclipse. And Eclipse just, it was life-sucking for me. I hated it. It would, you'd start up and the room would go dim and you'd hear generators spinning up, and it just would take forever, and I hated it. And so I started looking into alternative IDEs, and for a while I was an IntelliJ guy and all that. And then at the time I was a strong Ubuntu user, and I started using gedit, and then they had a lot of snippets and tools that you could kind of turn it into this little mini IDE text editor thing. And I was so impressed with how fast I could get my environment up and going. And so, there was that, and then I moved to a Mac and we had TextMate, and now that we have Sublime, yeah, that's what I totally use. And one of the biggest things for me in using Sublime, and you can do this in the Force.com IDE, I found out later, but it's actually buried, is like the non-contiguous selection and editing. So I can select multiple rows. They don't have to be in the same column, and I can just start typing and have it, populate everything. If I have to type the field name in 15 different places or something like that, or if I'm editing XML, oh my God forbid, I can do all of that kind of stuff. So, and on top of all that, it's just really light. I mean, it's hardly hogging any CPU. I'm using a 6-year-old laptop right now, and it runs fantastic. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Maven's Mate ever since, I don't even think, I've never done a complete project in the Force.com IDE. Yeah, I think I've used it maybe to deploy metadata a few times, directly deploy metadata from one org to another and to compare. But you can do that in Maven's Mate as well. So, I mean, that's the world in which I live.
Yeah, I mean, we used to use a lot of Sublime with Maven's Mate. Like, everyone here was using Sublime with Maven's Mate for a while. And we had a little bit of an issue, which I don't think it was their fault. I don't think it had anything to do with their stuff. It was just we were overwriting each other. Kind of if we were working on the same file, we noticed that sometimes somebody's safe would win over the other, which is, I mean, you're going to get that, I guess, kind of with anything, unless you kind of do a separation of concerns where, like, all your devs have dev orgs, and then you are a ridiculous human being.
Putting on the terrain or the ranger hat. Now he's got the scarf on.
I'm talking about Salesforce.
I can just feel the ridiculousness. Like, I don't even have to turn and know what you're doing. I can feel it.
I'm feeling empowered. I have a friend.
Should that be our tagline? Should be system.debug. Feel the ridiculousness. Oh yeah. My God. He's got a big Astro too.
DJ's only friend is Astro.
It's my only friend.
You were so mean, you forced him to cuddle up with Astro now. Look at that.
If that's all it takes, man.
You're just going to start rocking back and forth with the Astro doll. So, but yeah.
So anyway, we were using Maven's Mate for a while, and it wasn't terrible. It was actually pretty good. We liked everything that it had. I particularly liked the code folding. I can't say those two words together.
Code folding, yeah.
I like that a lot. That's one of the things that I look for in an IDE, really, or a editor, or what have you. And that's kind of what we were looking for when we were switching too, because we wanted to kind of start wrapping our stuff up in like a continuous integration sort of process. We wanted to involve Git. We wanted to involve everything. So our transition went Maven's Mate with Sublime, or vice versa, Sublime with Maven's Mate. Then we transitioned to Aside because we started getting more developers and we needed to have a little bit more ease of use, not really heavy on the setup kind of thing, which is where Aside comes in, Aside.io. They're not very heavy on setup. You just kind of log in, you hit your org, you log into your org, and boom, you can just start going at it right away. And then we transitioned from that to Cloud9, which again, we'll talk about a little bit more about the details there, but it has everything that Sublime has pretty much.
One of my favorite parts about Sublime, and it was the first IDE that I actually noticed this on, though it's possible Eclipse does it and I just never picked up on it, but I like the global search functionality. I like the fact that I can actually search every class, every page, every component.
I feel like Eclipse should have that.
I would assume it does, but once again, Eclipse it's not a specific Salesforce tool. And those Sublime either, once you're in a project or whatever, it's pretty much Salesforce, versus Eclipse where you still have to know where it's connecting and doing different things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Eclipse has that weird like search or find in files or something, and it opens up this other perspective, and it's I hate it. It just feels really clumsy. There's so much happening on the screen where like in Sublime, was it Command Shift P or Shift P or something, and then it's like you can just start typing and it searches all your classes right there, and it's one drop down, and yeah.
Yeah, I think on Mac it's probably Control Shift F, or
maybe that's what it is.
That's what it is. We use PC a lot over here, sometimes Mac, but Control Shift F is usually the search in all files, and yeah, I use the heck out of that. I can't imagine trying to use an IDE or an editor of any sort that didn't have that, or didn't pull all the files so that I had access to search all of them. And not to bash Aside, theirs was just lacking a little bit. They had one, but it just wasn't as robust, I guess, as the rest of them are.
Well, and let's talk about Aside, because we have a couple of choices for cloud editors, correct?
Yep.
You're definitely not limited to downloading an application and trying to configure and everything else like that. You said with Aside, for instance, if you have a Salesforce org and you go to aside.io.com,
just aside.io.
Oh, that's right.
There's .com.
I hit enter, my computer goes. It's been a while. But yeah, so aside.io.com.
Yeah, so if you go to aside.io, you're going to see right away a nice little background. It's going to tell you to log in, and then you pick, do you want to log in production or sandbox? So right off the bat, it just gives you the only choices that you really have in that situation, and then you just pick, go, log in, and it starts off, boom, editor right in front of you. Again, it's not as robust as other web interfaces, but it gets the job done. So if you're looking for something free and something quick that you don't have to really do a lot of setup, again, aside.io is probably the fastest setup of anything, because you legitimately log in, done. You can access all of your files from the top left hand with just a little drop down, and you just start typing away and it'll find all the files. So in that sense, the global search is there. It's nice for that, for finding the file. You click it, it opens, and it tries to do this thing with tabs, sort of, where you can have tabs on your screen and then tabs. So it's like tabs inside of tabs. It's like a exhibit kind of, got my tabs kind of thing, yeah. And it's weird, but it works at least. If you click on the tab that's inside of the tab, it'll switch the outer tab to the window that you're working in. It's,
Now, one thing I don't really like about Aside, however, the other ones do make up for this. Almost, I feel like every other IDE that we're going to discuss tonight, aside from Aside, has access to Lightning components, correct? I don't believe you can actually create a Lightning component or Lightning app in Aside just yet.
Not tried.
Yeah, I don't believe they have that tooling capability just yet, but Eclipse has it. Sublime, you can definitely work with Lightning components in Sublime. And then the other ones that we're going to talk about all do as well.
Well, I guess, do you have to have metadata for that, or I don't know.
I don't know what the
I don't do
I think it's
anything
just
with
it's like a Lightning
components.
tooling API. And
So,
you have to kind of
it's
configure
not
it.
just the tool. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's probably the problem, because they just use the standard tooling API.
Right,
So if there's something else that they got to connect with, probably not yet.
right.
But if you go to, I think it's the side.herokuapp.com, they have that's their bleeding edge version, and you can just search aside and Heroku, and it'll bring you right to it. But that's their bleeding edge, so it might be in there. I don't know. I haven't checked. So for anyone that wants to check, they can go there and look that up and kind of tool around with that and see if they can do Lightning components in there.
Definitely. And we're going to include a link to the IDEs that we're discussing today down below. So if you guys are lost or want to check them out, you can come back and do that. So besides, okay, but it's a really basic IDE.
Yeah,
interface.
it's your basic starter kit. If you are a startup Salesforce dev and you're just trying to get your bearings, in my opinion, it gives you a little bit more of a comfortable kind of feel than the developer console, which is your baby, and also the standard Salesforce edit.
Oh, when you're on the
interface.
actual page.
Yeah.
Who uses that?
yeah,
This guy.
yeah, exactly. So
Only
it
for
gives you
really
more
quick
edits.
edits.
Yeah, it gives you. Well, I would still, even for a quick edit, even if I had to change like one character, I'm still gonna log into a side just because.
I used to do all of it directly, especially on a Visual Force page. I was writing it all in that page. I was just going to go directly to the record and write it all up. Because when I first started, the developer console wasn't really all that great. And I know what you're thinking. It still isn't.
No, it's not. Not at all.
And you're right. But
For me, it doesn't suit my needs
but
at all.
one of the great things about the developer console, and so don't knock it. You know, every developer on the Salesforce platform is eventually going to have to run into the console. Okay, there will be a time, especially if it's
Just if you're looking for logs.
and that's what I was just going to say. Even your debug logs or setting up a Lightning app, because for a while that was the only place you could do it, was in the developer console.
That's fair.
But what's neat about the developer console is, you do have your logs and they show up as you're doing things, so it's a lot easier. You do have anonymous Apex. You do have the query builder so that you can run a query right away. And some of these other IDEs feature the same functionality.
Without bogging down your browser.
Right, and that's kind of like that caveat. That's that catch on the developer console, is that it will display every log and it will destroy your cache and your resources on your machine, because Google, especially if you're using Google Chrome, who already is hogging your RAM, and then you're going to open up the developer console, and when you're leaving it open, everything is staying in your cache, and so it is.
You can close your browser windows sometimes, right? I don't know. There's a little X. It's like at the top right, I think. Up there somewhere. There's a little X that you can click.
Do you want me to do it right now?
No, don't do it right now.
Oh.
That's
okay. Well,
and we're on a Mac, so you can go to the top right and click
the
anything
X is
you
in the
want.
top left.
You're gonna miss it.
You're
not gonna hit it.
But yeah, so the developer console does offer a lot of tools in order to work in your Salesforce org right out of the bat. If you don't have a IDE, you haven't chosen one yet, or you're making minor fixes or trying to debug things
right out of the bat,
going into the developer console is definitely.
Is this like a baseball bat, or is this a
it's
flying bat?
It's batchable Apex triggers. That's BAT.
That's awful.
Yeah,
get that out. Why would you want Apex? That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, well, this is
that
why
sounds
developers
like a nightmare
drink.
I would have. Man, triggers are the bane
I
of my
use the console when I just need something, quick. If I just want to jump in, I don't want to set up a project or anything in Sublime or go through all of that. Like if it's my first time through somebody's org and I'm looking at code, I'll do that in the developer console. But I generally don't do anything in the developer console anymore if I can at all, avoid it. I'm waiting until they make some more modifications. In all honesty, what would make me a really happy person would be to be able to tell my employer, hey, just buy me an iPad Pro and a keyboard, and I'll do everything in the cloud, man. I will just get rid of it, right? I would love to get to that point, but
I think it's doable for us at least. I mean, I could go kick my computer out of the window right now, and I would have no problem getting back everything because it's all in the it's there anyway.
Yeah,
all I
it's
have
already
to do
there.
is another computer somewhere. Like I don't do very much on this Mac that we're using right now to record, other than testing. In reality, this is my go to meetings elsewhere kind of Mac. And so like when we go to Charlotte to our other office, I'll bring the Mac with me, and I don't have anything on here except for Chrome. That's pretty much it. Boom, and it's all there. And that's why I like all the cloud stuff. That's why I tried. Like I love Sublime for what it is, and Sublime is a fantastic editor for every other thing. If you want your stuff, like you're saying, in the cloud, and you want to be able to access it from wherever, whenever, you're probably going to want to go with one of the web interfaces.
And speaking of clouds and web interfaces, probably my most current favorite developing IDE.
I would hope it's your current favorite. It's the one that we're using now.
I know, but I didn't realize it was going to be as awesome as it was. Cloud9, last year at Dreamforce 2015, had a booth set up on the second floor in the dev zone, or what was the dev zone at the time. Yeah. And they were, tossing out T-shirts and trying to get everybody hyped up on this beta. And at the time, I was like, all right, cool, one more IDE. I just want a shirt. And now that I've actually started using it, it's really fantastic. It's pretty much about as close to a client-side IDE as I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's come a long way since the beta too. So anyone that's not listening and listening to some other podcasts, if you happen to listen to this and you tried Cloud9 about a year ago for the beta and you did not like it, I highly suggest you go back and give it a second chance. And it's come a very, very long way.
Absolutely. And if you are at any sort of a company that's using versioning control via a GitHub repository or anything like that, Cloud9 can integrate pretty much seamlessly via your GitHub and your Salesforce org. It can be your kind of go-to place in the middle where it's going to do your commits and your pushes and your pulls from Git, and then you can automatically sync it directly back to your Salesforce and vice versa. So it's really nice in that aspect if you're going to be doing any versioning control.
Yeah.
It has Lightning, anonymous Apex. It's got a query builder.
I really love that you're adding ing to the end of versioning control. Versioning control.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you keep saying versioning control. It's just funny.
Okay.
Just listen to talk.
We actually have a comment in the video real quick. Somebody's talking about coding if you don't have an internet connection, and I would love that, right? Because, I mean, how many times you've been on a plane and you try to get the Wi-Fi and then the Wi-Fi just crap, and then you can't really do anything on the platform. I would love some sort of,
Sublime is great for that. That's
but I mean,
Sublime.
The problem is, though, you can't really run Apex code or Visual Force, right? And so, like, some sort of JVM emulator kind of thing would be ideal. That would be really awesome if I could do some sort. It doesn't have to be the full set of features, but if I could run some Apex, validate that it's at least going to compile and that this Visual Force page is going to look right, something like that would be really awesome.
The only thing that you would actually end up needing something, some form of the data to pull down in order to test it against, wouldn't you?
Well, yes and no. You could test it against a rule set, like what Ryan's saying. You could test it against, will this compile, will this not compile? Instead of doing a full, will this compile plus will this pull back any data? Will I get what I want from this? You can just do a will this work on a base level, and then once you figure out, oh yeah, this is going to work, you can keep going through, and then when you land or whatever,
I guess,
Wi-Fi
basically like anything that's non-metadata related. So it's not like it's going to bypass all of your SOQL statements. It's going to just assume that all of those are good. What it's looking for is your null pointer errors. It's looking for your exceptions, things that might throw a hiccup, semicolons, little things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
I think that would be difficult, to say the least, because you have so much to, I don't know.
I mean, if you could just get a copy of the exceptions class, you know what I'm saying? Like at that point, all you're really doing is pulling down the exceptions that are native, aren't you?
I see what you're saying, but no, because you have to.
But no.
Yeah, no, I I understand where you're coming from, but it's a bit more convoluted than what you're like.
Yeah.
That would be a very, very bare bones, like pull back all the exceptions. What exceptions could I possibly get? Like a very like bare bones kind of checklist. You know, like this line is good, this line is good, this line is good. It's not gonna. I don't know. That would help. That would help, but it wouldn't be all the way to what Ryan's talking about or what they're asking about. I don't think.
Yeah, and obviously it would have to be crippled in some way, right? Because somebody could easily start setting up their own Salesforce instances, right, so to speak. So it would have to be crippled.
Yeah, that's also true.
But our old buddy Drew is talking about a talk here that was at Dreamforce this year about developing VF pages offline. And so it looks like maybe it was just primarily mocked JavaScript returns, JS returns. So maybe it was something like that where they were creating, you know, remote calls out JavaScript to maybe their own Apache server, but then it's loading VF. I don't know how it was working, but it's in the comments in the video.
Especially with like Visualforce, because of the fact that Visualforce is pretty much just JavaScript and HTML based anyway. And so being able to, like, if you know where your endpoints are and you can mock those endpoints, then making callouts to them in order to have some functional Visualforce page when you land.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're just simply changing the actual endpoint of your callout. Once you've landed, you know that your Visualforce page is at least going to, you know, the CSS is going to show up, the actual user experience is
but
there.
could you even load your Visualforce page?
Well, because it's just HTML, so no.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, could you, even if you were to mock up the whole thing, you would have to mock up the Visualforce page in HTML as well. Is that what you're saying? Because at some point, you have to refresh that page in order for it to make those callouts, even local. So you could do like localhost, blah, 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 and do your API endpoint, and it can call out to the localhost, but you're still looking at the interface. You know what I'm saying? You're still looking at Salesforce, and if you have no connection, if you have no internet connectivity, you're not going to be able to hit that again for a second time to refresh.
No, and that's true, but you can, because it is just HTML. So say you just remove your Apex page tags and you're just running it, and then pretty much you're just putting those back in.
Yeah, any of your Apex tags you have to strip out.
Yeah, so for me at that point, that's useless, right? I don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
You know? Otherwise, yeah.
You also have to fake it, you know, like you have to, oh yeah, this kind of does what the Apex repeat does, or what, you know, things like that.
It'd be really cool if I could use, you know, like the force.com CLI, right, to just do like force emulate or something, and then it would just give me a basic set of, you know, calls, and you could point it, like if I could point it to a MongoDB or something just for some sample data just to test with, you know, or to be able to run unit tests or something.
Yeah,
right?
That would be neat to be able to run unit tests offline.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Now in the Winter 17 release notes, didn't they say they were going to be deprecating the CLI?
No, I don't think so. I think, as a matter of fact, it's being stepped up, right? So we've got the new Trailhead DX or Trailhead, not Trailhead DX, Developer DX, you know, the new Scratch orgs and all that we're talking about coming if you were at any of those sessions in Dreamforce, and the way you're going to be developing moving forward. I think it's going to rely heavily on the force.com CLI. So I could be wrong. But that's the impression that I get, is that it would rely heavily on that. It would work a lot like the Heroku tool belt does now, right? Where you're like Heroku this and you can deploy this, that, and the other thing. It'll be force dot whatever. You can commit it to your Git. You can push it. You can spin up Scratch orgs here and there, whatever. I assume that's how it's going to work. I have yet to see a demo. It'd be really cool to see one.
Yeah, sounds promising.
Yeah. So, you know.
Well, maybe Drew can make a demo and show it to us.
Yeah, there you go, Drew. You've been put on point.
That's right.
Who's Drew?
He's a former colleague of Brian's from up here.
That's right.
It's another Wisconsinian.
That's
what do you guys call yourselves?
Wisconsinites.
Wisconsinites.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, what was his name? Wade. Wade on Twitter. Wade.
Like you more than I do.
I can't remember his last name all of a sudden, but from Salesforce, Wade. He was talking about it on Twitter not long ago, I thought. I saw some tweets about it. So yeah, it would be really neat to see what they've got going on.
So speaking of Trailhead, though, did you see the new profiles?
Oh yeah. I haven't had a chance to do much with them yet, but yeah, it's all up there.
Do you know what your ranking was?
Mountaineer, maybe.
Okay.
I've only got like 32 badges or something like that.
RJ is a scout.
I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's the bottom of the barrel.
It is. You know what I am?
I don't know. You're a ranger?
I'm a ranger and an idiot, but ranger first, idiot second.
So before we get off the concept of IDEs, though, so I've heard of Cloud9, and now that because the first time I tried it, I hated it, but I'll go back and take a look at it now. But there's
real quick.
There's the Welcome Suite. That's on the Microsoft-y side of looking stuff. But then there is another one that a gentleman in our local developer group up here likes called Illuminated Cloud, and it's from the IntelliJ IDEA guys. So JetBrains, I think.
Yeah.
And he says, that looks like it's worth laying down the $70 for. So I would be curious to see what that does. I always liked IntelliJ way over Eclipse, but Eclipse was free, and you couldn't argue that in your organization. It was hard to say, hey, we need this $300 piece of software, or we can download this free one.
Well, Cloud9 is paid for service as well. I don't know.
They do have a free tier. Just a little backstory about them, or a little information about them. They are now with Amazon, so all their stuff is on AWS, and the way that we do stuff here, or at least I do, I think you're strictly MA core, right?
Yep. Well,
so you're,
yeah.
Well, yeah. So we have kind of two sets of people, and I am right now playing the role of both sets of people. There's the MA data side, and then there's the MA core side. The core just handles Apex and all that wonderful stuff, Visualforce, and then the data side handles all of our external data. And Cloud9, for people who are in this realm of, hey, we have external data, but we also have our data in our org, and I'm doing stuff between the two. If your data is on Amazon at all, in any of the AWS services, this will work perfectly for you. It'll work really, really well because you can toggle back and forth. You can create a Salesforce, not an org, but you can create a link to your org essentially in Cloud9, do your Apex stuff, do your Visualforce stuff, and then you have another one. They're called workspaces. You have another workspace that links to your AWS stuff, so you can kind of easily go back and forth. You can open them up in two separate tabs in the same browser. You don't have to have like Chrome and Chrome Canary. So it's very flexible in that way, and it's very good in that way. But other than that, I mean, it's still like you were saying, you should give it a second shot. I think that you would like it now. And there is a free tier, and it all runs on Amazon's EC2. So it spins you up like a little Linux box, and you're like, and like we were talking about the other day.
That's really neat. Yeah, the fact that
Yeah, if you want to get back into Linux.
Yeah, and each workspace ends up as its own like VM.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really,
yeah. It spins up a VM. It gives you the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's
you
fantastic.
Got Bash, you got everything.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool.
I did get a chance to look at Welkins. Unfortunately, for our use case currently, it really wasn't the best IDE for us. However, and so I haven't dug fully into it. However, I will say Welkins has a lot of features available to it, and it is a browser-based IDE, and it has got a lot of stuff going for it. And so, if you get a chance to look at it, if you're in the realm of dabbling to pick one out, definitely check out Welkins. Definitely check out Cloud9. And then the one by IntelliJ again, Brian, was
Illuminated Cloud.
Illuminated Cloud. How's that hard to forget?
Yeah.
We looked at that for like a quick second, but we were kind of we were tied to the idea of Cloud9 because we like them. We like them as a product and everything. So we're kind of But I mean, people should check all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
choose the best IDE for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to try out Cloud9 again because I remember they've been around for a while, right? That's not just Salesforce.
No, they were everything else before they got into Salesforce. So they had a lot of other stuff, a lot of other, well, not other products, but they were attacking other venues or other areas, whatever you want to call it. So they were the IDE of choice for a lot of people that were outside of Salesforce.
Yeah, I remember when I was a big Django person, and my goal was always to be able to do everything I needed to do on a Chromebook at the time, because the partner that I worked for, we were Google partners and Chromebookers, and I was like, man, if I could really do that. So I remember looking at it for that, and it wasn't there quite yet. But
I would like to try that. That's a good. That'd be a good test for me. I think I could probably do everything that I do now on a Chromebook.
Cool.
Probably.
It looks like we only have, what do you say, like 7 minutes left, but we do have a question inside of the chat here. It says, I read an article on Salesforce ecosystem. It states that Salesforce by 2020 will create over 2 million jobs. What is the driving force behind this growth, especially in Salesforce developer side? You guys have thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Okay, so
Of course he does.
Could you put the
Salesforce right now is the leading CRM platform on the market. Okay, so as that continues to grow, because Salesforce is growing every year, as Mark Benioff himself states, is the best Dreamforce yet. And why is it the best Dreamforce? We have more members, we have more companies, we've got more people using our platform. As that number scales, the development positions, the admin positions, the all the different pieces that make the whole puzzle work are just going to scale with it. Okay, and as developers is not normally the most sought after position, and most developers get bored really quickly when it comes to actually programming. If you are a passionate developer, then this is a good fit for you. And that being said, those jobs are much greater. You have a much greater chance at being a developer on the Salesforce platform now than you did 10 years ago. 10 years from now, you're going to have a better chance at developing on the platform than you do now. And as of right now, if you look at the Salesforce platform scaling, okay, when it first started out, we'll say that the developers were at this. And now, as the Salesforce platform continues to scale and grow, the need for developers is just getting at a sharper angle. Okay, so you're just going to get more and more need for these development. RJ, what?
Your arm
He's laughing.
Arm chart.
Your arm
This is
charts are
legit.
terrible.
The arm chart. That is the stuff. That is the stuff Salesforce Wave is made out of. Brian James arm charts. I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with the rate at which they are either acquiring or innovating, right? So they're grabbing things. We're talking, their purchase of MetaMind, I think is what it was, and now Salesforce Einstein being involved in all that. And these are things that they're bringing to the platform, right? And so they're making it accessible for, normally you or I are not going to get the chance to start dealing with AI on projects, right? Or, building inside of business intelligence and automated intelligence and all that stuff. I mean, that's this whole other silo that if you are focusing on that, you're not focusing on anything else, right? And they're kind of taking that out of the way, and they're making it accessible to everyday, quote unquote, everyday developers like you or myself, right? And I think that has a lot to do with it. Is they're innovating, they're acquiring, and they're just making the more complicated pieces more and more accessible to developers like us. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
That they do it in baby steps, so you don't have access to the whole thing right away. They're implementing as you're learning. So that's a good plus if you're on the platform now. If you're like a new developer right now, they're still implementing your Lightning components. They've kind of actually tied that in now, even though it was there, not yours specifically, but that's what you do. You're like
all the Lightnings belong to me.
If you could cuddle Lightning components at night, I imagine that you would. But that's why I call them your Lightning components, not my Lightning components, because I don't write Lightning components.
My name's Brian James, and I cuddle Lightning.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear that? We need Lightning component stuffed animals.
I imagine that's not
stuffed Lightning components.
They got that goat. They got.
Hey, Steve Moe got awarded a giant
giant
lightning bolt last year at Dreamforce.
Giant lightning bolt. You guys have that little circle with the no software or whatever the heck it is.
Sassy.
Sassy. Yeah.
Sassy, yeah.
So you guys have. I mean, they're probably
$13, SalesforceStore.com, guys. You can get them.
There you go.
Building these things, but anyway, so yeah, Lightning components, they've wrapped that in now. That's in there. And then the IoT engine stuff, they're starting to ramp that up. I don't know when it's going to be fully completed. I don't even know what their plans are for it. I don't know any of Salesforce's plans at all. So, I mean, you guys, right. But so they grow with you, So
are there any more questions?
No, it looks like that was the last one. So I think this is probably,
Did we answer it?
Is that an answer? Or did we
I hope that was an answer. I don't know if they responded. It doesn't look like they responded yet. So we hope we answered that question. But let's see, we got 1 minute left, and I want to make sure that we mention our Twitter handle if we don't know that we have it, right? So
that in
follow us on Twitter at system.debug, and that's spelled out D-O-T, system D-O-T debug.
That's right. And you can follow Ryan at Life with Ryan. You can follow RJ at the infamous RJ. And you can follow me at USBrian28.
All righty. So I think with that, what are we looking at for our next episode, sirs?
Whatever you guys are up to. I'm good for every 2 weeks. I'm also good for once a month. Whatever you guys want to do. Are you talking about timing or are you talking about topics?
Yeah, I'm talking about when do you guys want to broadcast again, right? So I want to give them an expectation, anybody that comes back and listens to this, about kind of the frequency. So
I think BJ and I are here often enough that we can do every 2 weeks if you're good for that.
All right. So then,
I understand if you have other things to do. You're a busy man, so.
Right.
Ryan is a very, very busy man.
He's way busier than I am.
He's much busier than I am.
Wow. Make sure somebody tell them upstairs that. That'd be great.
Captain.
I think look for us. If you don't, just watch the Twitter handle for our next announcement. But if it's going to be every 2 weeks, if this is a twice a month thing, great. It might be a monthly thing, but let's.
Also, if anyone has any topics that they'd like to hear us discuss, to kind of go back to the beginning, shoot us a tweet,
Comment
email,
below.
comment, whatever.
We have email. What was the email? system.debug@gmail.com.
That's right.
Hopefully get a website set up here at some point, probably just a simple WordPress one for everybody to interact with. But right now, emails and Twitter is probably the most direct route to reach any of us. So.
Yeah.
And when we do have it up, when we have the site and everything set up, we will be putting downloadable audio files of the podcast so that you can just download them and listen to them to the car if you're unable. And I understand it was probably something absolutely dire and it was an emergency and that's why you didn't make the show.
Watch our show.
But if you can't make it or you can't see, you can always download the link.
Yes.
Yeah, you can download all the links.
You can have every link.
You can download the links. So,
yes.
I don't understand how you work on computers.
Well, with that, we want to thank everybody so much that stuck with us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
We look forward to seeing you guys all very, very soon, and ladies.
All right. So the one thing I did not create was an outro. I gave us an intro with the guitars over there, but they didn't give us an outro. Play it backwards. That's not a bad idea.
That's a dad joke kind of thing, like, oh, intro the outro.
I will see what it sounds like backwards, and then maybe have that for the next one.
You could also just grab a guitar and start shredding if you wanted to. With a couple faces.
Totally.
I'd watch that. I'd watch that.
Totally shredding. Yeah. Don't think that's gonna happen.
You do like a Ferris Bueller.
Oh, with the whole arm on the keyboard thing.
Bow, bow.
Bow, bow.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Have a great evening. Leave your comments below. Let us know where we did wrong.
Everything.
Please let us know what we did wrong and what we could do right next time. Let us know any ideas and topics you got. You've been a great audience, and look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
All right, Brian, take us off air, man.
This is going to be a slow one.
Yeah, this is going to